Smart contracts. You'll all be familiar with traditional contracts. Some of them are legal, require lawyers, but it may just be some sort of standard document that you've signed to rent a place or something like that. But it can be quite time consuming and costly to involve all that paper or to get signatures. And some contracts, for example, contracts of importing goods through some sort of global supply chain, involve the importer, of course, the exporter, the port authorities everywhere the ship goes, the ship owners, the insurers, the lawyers, the banks. So, you know, you can imagine how complex the global supply chain has become. And one of the reasons why that's one of the most common use cases of smart contracts on blockchain already. So the actions in a smart contract are conducted by something like the Ethereum virtual machine, or a similar way to put code on a blockchain. And details of the execution, as for example, the washing machine gets loaded onto a ship, these are all updated on a blockchain. There's virtually no chance of fraud because the blockchain is immutable. I suppose a public blockchain, of course, that does require trust in the owner of the blockchain. But in a public blockchain, you can gain trust without any other third-party intermediaries. Smart financial contracts are very popular at the moment. In the next and last video of this topic, we'll look at decentralized finance and understand why it's become such a craze at the moment. So the contracts for cash flows between any two counterparties can be coded on a blockchain. For example, it could be a loan to somebody who's struggling with funds because they've become unemployed. So the events trigger an automatic payment between wallets. It could be something like a coupon payment on a bond, or a interest rate swap payment, or a reset of the swap, or an expiration of some derivatives contract. So these are the sort of contracts that investment banks use. And all banks are moving towards blockchain-based records for the back office settlements, for example. That means that you can't make an error if somebody typing in data. It speeds everything up considerably on a private blockchain where you don't need the permission, so it's much quicker, reduces costs, and it's very good for compliance. You know, if people come in and want to check things, it's all on the blockchain and it should be trusted. So typically there are these private chain consortia like R3. This was originally made from banks like RBS, but when I look at the website recently, the role of banks is completely underplayed now, but this is actually funded by about 100 different banks. If you look up R3 on Wikipedia, you'll find more about its history, unless they've changed that too. Axoni is another one. This was, again, you can't see where the banks are. Apparently, you know, things are being set up as a sort of charitable organization, but they're actually, the banks are behind them. Other banks use public blockchains, especially Enterprise Ethereum. That is a way of allowing big companies to use the Ethereum mainnet, and a testnet, of course. JP Morgan uses Enterprise Ethereum for settlements, and they've actually issued their own coin. I think we're going to see more and more of that coming. That you know, well, there'll be a Goldman Sachs coin, and yeah, so JPM coin, and Societe Generale, an article, issued a very large bond on Ethereum. So all these are very recent things. Actually, a lot of people say that Satoshi Nakamoto is Nick Szabo. The initials are the same because he's from Poland and they do it the other way. They call him Szabo Nick. But also, this paper that he wrote about, back in 1996, about smart contracts, looks as though it's been written in a very, very similar style to the Satoshi Nakamoto paper of 2008. So maybe Nick Szabo is Satoshi Nakamoto. Who knows? Nobody's saying. Lots of people are claiming to be Satoshi Nakamoto, but we still don't know who it is, or maybe it was a group of people, I don't know. Anyway, so a smart contract is executed automatically via lines of if this, then that code on a blockchain. And so you need very, very careful, smart lawyers that go through every possible if this, then that eventuality. So the logic needs to be very well thought through to make sure that it's robust. So as I said, the large-scale smart contracts are typically on a private or consortium blockchain, which still requires trust. But there's lots and lots of little smart contracts, like for issuing a new coin or dApps, gaming dApps and things like that are very common on the Ethereum chain, but also EOS, Tron, and the OmniLayer. So these contracts are broadcast and validated in action, and actions in return for the gas payments. And you get an immutable record of transactions on a public blockchain. And I said I'd show you a video of Vitalik. Yeah, here he is. This is 7 hours, 22 minutes long, so I'm not going to play it.
And the idea is that it lets you use the decentralized technology behind the blockchain to build pretty much any kind of decentralized application. So if you think of the blockchain as a database, then
so laid back. 7 hours and 22 minutes.
In Ethereum space, what you have the database.
Hang on. Share my screen. Hang on, what's happened to it?
Where and in the database you have
I need to
contracts, and each contract contains some code.
Quit that. Okay, so let's go back to smart contracts. This is an example of a very old-fashioned traditional contract where you start here and I'm buying a washing machine from Germany, okay, so there's the sale contract. The next thing is because it takes time for the washing machine to arrive, I have to apply for a letter of credit to my bank, who sends this to the exporter's bank, who then tells the exporter, say Neff or I don't know, some washing machine manufacturer in Germany, that the guarantee of the credit is there, and so then they ship the washing machine there, and then the documents go to the bank, and they're controlled and released, and the bank and the documents come back there. It takes quite a long time. But a smart letter of credit would just be on a bank's blockchain, and the counterparties will have validated the records and transactions as it goes on. As I said, we've already seen a video of the whole supply chain, not just a letter of credit, of how it can work. So this helps banks that are involved in letters of credit to scale up their operations, reduce time, reduce risk, and make more money from doing this business. You still need to trust the bank though, if it's on the bank's blockchain. But lots of banks are doing it. That's what the Exoni and R3 is all about, that sort of thing. A smart insurance policy can be coded on a blockchain. And here, any event like a hurricane or an earthquake would be automatically recorded accurately. You know, how strong was the earthquake? How fast was the wind? And so the blockchain can record these measurable parameters. So there'd be no contention about claiming. And so the claim could be very quickly and automatically executed if the blockchain records match what the contract says. So it's quicker, cheaper, and there's much less potential for error and fraud. We've looked at smart supply chains, the transparency, the trust, the cost reduction, the efficiency, and the risk reduction are all there. So no wonder they're being, and all other smart contracts are being coded on, particularly Ethereum, but EOS, Tron, and all these others, as well as the private blockchains are expanding really, really quickly. So Microsoft Azure is a platform that Microsoft had made for doing smart contracts. A bit slow to fire up, sorry. Enterprise smart contracts, resolving the truth of blockchain. It's a cloud platform to put any smart contracts on using their blockchain software on the cloud. Okay, so that's it. See you in the next video.